Hey, I'm John Tabler. Welcome back. Today is bread baking day, and actually it's experiment day. I thought it'd be nice to do an experiment. So what I've done is I've prepared the dough to make whole wheat, 100% whole wheat flour sourdough, which has all the nutrients and all the nutrition, and the gluten's wiped out, and all the nutrients can be assimilated because of the fermentation process. But you know, a lot of people say that you have to fold the dough and develop the gluten so you won't have a dense bread. And I've decided to do an experiment just to show you. Let's see if it's really true that you have to fold the dough, work the dough, come back, baby the dough. You've probably seen my don't baby your sourdough videos. Let's see if you have to baby the dough. You really have to come back and work it, or if you can do it in about 4 minutes. As quick as you can pour dough into a bowl and add the water, make a dough ball, put 4 tablespoons of starter in it, work it through and set it aside. I bet you can do that in 3 minutes. That's how long it takes to make bread. Unless you work the dough, you baby the dough, you fold the dough, you come back 15 minutes later, you fold it again. Also, you can work the gluten and develop the gluten so that it will be less dense. Let's see how it compares, because the main thing is you want to eat the bread and not take all day and all night. We all have other things to do, right? You know, whole wheat flour bread can be more dense because you have the bran, the germ, and the endosperm, the entire part of the wheat in it. 100% of it's in there. But in other flours, like this one, which I'm going to use and show you, it's enriched, pre-sifted, unbleached, all-purpose flour. And in that, they remove the germ and the bran from it, which hold most of the nutrients. And then because they remove that, they have to add back nutrients. So that's why it's called enriched. But those nutrients are not the same nutrients they took out of it. And there's so much debate and information that they're really not healthy. Definitely not in the way that was natural in the wheat kernel. And so when enriched is on there, it's because they already degraded the food quality of what you're eating, and they had to put it back in by law, actually. Excuse me. And so what I've decided to do, just to show you that you can make bread in 5 minutes, make your dough and have it ready to bake, just so quick, which I've done it all the time, and it's in my 5-minute sourdough videos. You can see that online. Just go look for the 5-minute sourdough video. I'll show you exactly how to do that. But I want to show you what it looks like. That's going to be the other one. This is the 100% whole wheat flour. What I did was I took my starter and I had it in the refrigerator, and it's right here. Let me grab a spoon real quick. And this starter right there is ready to go, and I just take 3 tablespoons of that and put it into a dough ball. I just take the 100% flour, pour it in a bowl, and add water to it, make a soft dough ball, kind of like Play-Doh, well, just a slight bit more moist. And then I add about 3 tablespoons of that to it, heaping tablespoons, and work it through, leave it set overnight. And now this is raised, and actually I'll take it and try it because it's crushed fermented seeds. It's great for you, and it's ready to go. Has 100% of the nutrients of grain in it. It's fantastic. I'm going to bake that. It's going to be, I'm actually preheating the oven right now, but I'm also going to bake this one and compare them. So I made this the same way. Just to do that, to make a quick dough ball and put that starter in it and work it through and put it in this bowl, put a little flour on it and under it, cover it up, let it sit for anywhere from 12 to 18 hours. That's about how long I end up letting it sit. Doesn't really matter. But I'm going to turn this over. This is the remember all those words, enriched, pre-sifted, unbleached, all-purpose flour, which people are using for bread all the time, which I don't eat because I'm eating for nourishment, and the nourishment is in that flour. And I actually grind my own wheat with the wheat grinder. but you can get 100% whole wheat flour, and that's what you would get here. This is 100% whole grain, whole wheat flour, organic, with all the vitamins and nutrients in there. You'll see on the ingredients, certified 100% organic, hard red whole wheat flour. That's good if you don't have a wheat grinder. This is not good. This is all-purpose flour, bleached, enriched, and bleached is done with chemicals, many that have been banned in many countries, like azidodicarbonamide and many other chemicals that basically denature the food and turn it into a non-food, so then they have to enrich it to sell it as food. There's no reason to eat something that feels fluffy that is not food and nourishment for your body. That's the deal right there. This, when I pull that off, has been sitting all night, and it is sourdough because I put the starter in there, and I just use the same starter. It doesn't really make any difference. I didn't make starter from that flour. I just used a little bit of it, so that will be what's causing a slight difference in color on the top, but it's completely fermented now, and we're going to see how that comes out compared to how that comes out. And so I'm going to put it in the oven. We'll do that one first. So I've been preheating at 500 degrees. There's my face, about 380 coming off onto my face. You want to take that lid off. We got smoke coming out. Apparently a little bit of dough left over in there. Now, you can cut it, but you don't have to cut it. If you don't cut it, it's going to basically just split at some point wherever it wants to. When you cut it, when you put a little dose cut in there, I mean, it's going to split right there now. So it's no big deal either way. I'll drop that in there. I use a parchment paper because it makes it really easy. Really easy. You wouldn't have to. You can do it other ways. Put oil on the pan, or just put it down in there. It'll come out the same, but then we put it in. That's going to bake now for, I'm probably baking for 25 minutes with the lid on. Lately I've started leaving the lid on 25 or 30 minutes and taking it out. The outside is much softer. If you want a little bit more crisp crust, you take that lid off and leave it cook for about another 5 minutes or so, or however crisp you want it, and then you take it out. But let's see how that turns out compared to how the whole wheat flour turns out. Okay, it's been about 25 minutes, and I'm going to open the oven and take a look at the crust. Take the lid off, and it's looking really nice, but I want to have I'm going to show you. I want it to be a little more crisp on the crust and brown, so I'm going to leave that lid off for about, we'll keep an eye on it, but probably about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we'll take it out. Okay, we're right around 5 minutes now, more with the lid off, and so I'm going to check, and there we have a really nice top crust. So I'm going to set that up, and we'll put this onto a cooling rack. And a really good way to do this, as I've showed you in other videos, to be safe, is just use a fork, lift it out like that, and there you have it. And that is made with flour that most people make bread with, which is an unbleached all-purpose flour. For me, the nutrients aren't there, and I like to have the nutrients from the whole grain, which now I'm actually going to bake. And you know, the main thing about this video that I wanted to show you is that it's not true that you need to work the dough to make bread, and you need to come back and spend a lot of time with it. These were both made in 5 minutes. Now actually I put that in a little bit different shape, so it's kind of square, kind of interesting. It'll settle out, but Make any difference if it does. It'd be kind of an interesting loaf, having different shapes. But now this is the whole grain, and you can see the difference in color. Somehow they got that brown, nice flour that looked like this to turn into a flour that looks like this. And really what it is they took the bran and the germ out of it and made it with only one portion of the wheat. Now I've got my situation kind of turned around here because I got flour on my paper and I don't want to have that. I'm going to put it on a different piece of paper. Easy as can be. That's what we want, easy as can be. That one's cooling, so now I'm going to bake this one, and when it gets done, about 30 minutes, we're going to compare the two and see if the only reason that it's a little more dense when you make it quickly and don't fold the dough is because of the flour, or is it because of working the dough. I would say definitely it's because of the flour, because this loaf, if you look at that, looks awesome, and I did that in 3 or 4 minutes right after I made that one. I put that flour in a bowl, put some water in there, non-chlorinated water, and made a dough ball, put about 3 spoonfuls, big heaping tablespoonfuls of starter in there, worked it through, and you saw the rest. Set it aside for overnight, about 12, 14, 15 hours. And there you have it. We'll cut into it after a bit and see how it compares to this one. You're going to love it. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back, and we're just over 30 minutes on this loaf, and I leave it just a hair bit longer when it's a more dense flour. I'm going to take it out, take a look, and the crust really feels pretty good. You can, if you want it a little bit darker or browner, you can leave it in for just a few more minutes, so I'll do that. Okay, that's right around 5 more minutes, and so we'll take that out and we will see the comparison between these two. Of course, this one has to cool. I'm going to set this one aside now. It's cooled, and I'm going to use my handy fork method. I don't care if I have a couple little marks in it. You can't really see them at all. So now you can see I have a little bit of a harder crust there. I'm going to let this cool down, then we'll cut into it and we'll compare the two and we'll see how this is going to come out. But I think you're going to be surprised. So see you back. Okay, we're back now, and both of these loaves are cooled down. This one's probably cooled for about 20 minutes, so I'm going to put the rack away. And now we're going to see what the difference is. They were both made exactly the same way. So let's cut into the multi-purpose flour loaf first. So there you have it, and both of those look about the same, and you'll see that there's plenty of rise, plenty of air. Let me actually, that was the end, so let me cut another piece off and we'll compare the two pieces. And there we go. And this was made in 4 minutes. I didn't work the dough at all. Now let's see the one that has 100% whole grain with nothing taken out. It's a heavier dough because, you know, the bran, like in a bran muffin, is still in the wheat, which is heavier, and the germ, and that one's still steaming, and you can see that that bread is perfect. You try this. You can put butter on it, honey, but if you take some olive oil and then add a little bit of salt and take the bread, and again, I eat the whole wheat because that is whole wheat. That's what wheat looks like. All the vitamins and nutrition are in there. But if you want to sift out the bran, you can still have a more brown flour compared to even this flour. But this is just perfect. And I put all of 4 minutes into making that. And it's perfect. And I did this to compare what people normally make bread with, or what they're used to, which is this flour. And it's not as heavy of a flour, so it rises a bit more, and you can see that. But this is a little bit heavier of a flour. Yes, it is a little bit more dense, but only because the flour is more dense. It has bran in it. These were both made exactly the same. And the taste is noticeably different. You want to try these, compare both, but the main thing you want to do is you want to do it. And if you have to come back every 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, and do more things to the dough, that's almost just like a way to make you not make bread. The way you're going to do this, if you really want to do it regularly, is you're just going to make a dough ball and you're going to put a little starter in and put it up on top of your refrigerator, on your counter overnight. You're going to come back, you're going to make it. That's exactly what this is. And you can see that both these breads are fantastic, and they're going to provide the nourishment you need. The gluten has been degraded and taken away. The lectins and the things that are in the plant that cause a defense against predators get neutralized and wiped out when you ferment it. And if you can just make your starter and make a dough ball, put a little starter in there, don't do anything. Wait overnight and bake it just like you saw me do. You're going to have sourdough for the rest of your life and the nutrition your body needs. So hit like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video.